everybody. This is my business presentation or pitch on Starbucks. So Starbucks' mission statement is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. By reading this mission statement, you can tell that Starbucks isn't there to just sell a cup of coffee. They want to uplift communities, they want to uplift individuals and really inspire people in general. The history of Starbucks is that in 1971, the first Starbucks was opened near Pike Place in Seattle. In 1980, Starbucks had grown to 4 stores that stood in Seattle, and although the company was growing, they weren't seeing as much profit as expected, and they weren't doing that well financially. In 1987, former Starbucks employee Howard Schultz bought the company. He bought the company to bring his vision to life, which was a romantic coffee shop with a very good environment where you could just walk in, grab a cup of coffee, and sit down and maybe get some work done on your computer. In 2000, Starbucks grew to around 2,500 stores, and they were actually international at this point, which allowed Starbucks to get its brand out there to anybody and everybody, and it really allowed the brand to grow. In 2003 to 2013, Starbucks introduced many new product lines, which included instant coffee, pastries, and breakfast food. This allowed Starbucks to really broaden its customer base. And if somebody didn't like coffee, they could come to Starbucks for a pastry or a breakfast food. In 2009, the Starbucks app was introduced. This made Starbucks a lot more accessible. It allowed customers to order through the app, and it allowed customers to see the menu online. In 2021, Starbucks is located in dozens of countries around the globe with 3,200 stores in total, and it has become the world's largest coffee chain. A good ethical decision made by Starbucks is founding the Starbucks Foundation in 1997. The goal of the foundation was to strengthen and uplift humanity and communities. How does the foundation achieve its goals? One of the ways the foundation achieves its goals is through neighborhood grants. Neighborhood grants allows Starbucks to give money to communities that need revitalized. And in total, Starbucks has given $5 million in grants. An example of a neighborhood grant is the picture down here. Starbucks granted $50,000 to the Shower of Hope to allow them to come into a city in LA and give free showers for 50 weeks straight. Another example is disaster response. Just recently, Starbucks granted $1 million to aid in the Australian wildfire response. And another way that Starbucks achieves its goals is Origin grants. Starbucks has invested $25 million in total in programs that strengthen coffee and tea growing communities, which is really important to Starbucks because coffee and tea growing communities are its foundation. An unethical decision made by Starbucks is that Starbucks has always been fighting off the unionization of their company. And in 2022, 300 Starbucks stores held elections on whether or not they would want to unionize, and 245 stores decided that they would go ahead and unionize. Workers are now protesting that Starbucks treated unionized stores unequally. How are they treated unequally? Starbucks announced wage raises and benefits in 2021 for all stores except union stores. Starbucks fired more than 100 workers that were union leaders. And Starbucks is now facing 325 unfair labor practice charges due to the the way they treated these union employees unequally. Why is Starbucks against unionizing? Unionizing their company gives Starbucks less control. It allows employees to demand higher wages, more time off, and better benefits, which, maybe Starbucks doesn't want to give higher wages, but a union can come in and go to Starbucks and demand that, which makes them lose control of their company. I just thought this was an unethical decision for Starbucks to fight unionizing in the way that they did, because they applied many unfair tactics and forced some people out of jobs. The marketing and distribution that Starbucks uses is that Starbucks is constantly posting on social media. Social media is one of the biggest platforms in marketing, and they're always on top of their game. They're participating in trends on TikTok. Starbucks creates an experience for its customers, and this experience really sets Starbucks apart from its competitors. When you walk into a Starbucks, you feel welcomed, you feel invited, you feel relaxed. And that experience really draws in customers that want to come up to the counter, get a cup of coffee, and sit down and do some work on their computer or just read a book. The logo is consistent. Although Starbucks is now located in dozens of different countries all over the world, the logo is always consistent with the brand, and seeing the logo as it is right there makes you recognize that that is Starbucks. It's very recognizable. Allowing customers to purchase products outside of their coffee shops has really allowed Starbucks to get its name out there. And if a customer is not near a coffee shop, they can go to the grocery store and buy, a bottled coffee or coffee beans from Starbucks. And this picture shows Starbucks products being sold in a grocery store in South Korea. The operations for Starbucks sources high-quality Arabica coffee beans. This allows Starbucks to provide customers with one of the best tasting fast food coffees in the industry. And Starbucks makes sure their locations are in high-traffic areas, such as near a mall, near a highway, and airports, and this draws in lots and lots of customers. They use some of the highest quality machines in their stores. These high-quality machines allow Starbucks to maintain consistency within their coffee. And their baristas are thoroughly trained. Everybody in the Starbucks industry goes through thorough training. This allows Starbucks to get the customer orders to the customer efficiently and within a timely manner. So the financial situation for Starbucks is that revenues have increased from 2021, even though Starbucks did see less customers due to COVID-19. Their revenue is increasingly growing, and this is allowing Starbucks to continue to open stores, and they're continuing to dominate their competition, such as Dunkin'. They are seeing a lot more customers than their competition is, which is generating a much higher revenue. And unlike most companies, Starbucks has not had to lay off a high number due to increased hiring when COVID-19 hit. So here's an income statement for Starbucks. So as you can see here, the Starbucks' total revenue has grown from 2021 up to 32 billion. These are in billions. And then the cost of revenue was at 23 billion, which means that the cost of revenue did grow from 2021 to 2022. So the gross profit is almost the same in 2022 as compared to 2021, but they're still showing an $8 billion profit, which is great for a coffee chain. Starbucks' operating expenses for this year were $3 billion, and if you subtract their operating expenses, which are like wages, the cost of land, the cost of building their stores, you're going to get their pre-tax income, which is $4 billion, which is a really good number for really any company, but especially for a coffee chain or a fast food chain. And then in this income statement, you're going to take the pre-tax income and deduct taxes, which are $948 million, and then you're going to get the net income, which is $3 billion. So as you can see, Starbucks' net income did decrease, even though the total revenue increased. An income statement is really important in any company because it shows that, in this case, even though Starbucks' revenue is increasing, maybe they're spending too much because their cost of revenue has increased as well, which has dropped their net income. So an income statement can show you if you need to spend less, if you need to spend more to gain more revenue, if you're not getting enough revenue. And overall, it's really important to a company and a business. So that's all I've got. Hopefully you guys gained something from this. You learned a little bit more about Starbucks and maybe just a better understanding of how a business works in general. Thank you guys very much.